On today's Finding Equalman show, we're going to talk all about the power of digital leadership.
Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. I'm just doing what I do. Won't stop doing what I do.
Hey, it's #1 best-selling author and motivational speaker Erik Qualman, or most of you know me as Equalman. On today's Finding Equalman show, remember the show is all about unlocking and unleashing your inner superpower, because all of us are superheroes, it's just some of us don't unleash it. And so today's show we're going to talk all about digital leadership. This is my #1 talk track for this year, is all about digital leadership. So what do I talk about when I'm on stage when it comes to digital leadership? Or more importantly, the top question I get is, what is digital leadership? And then they ask me that question, I turn around and ask them a similar question. What I ask them, or I ask the audience, is how many of you have read the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey? Get about half the room to raise their hand. Then I ask them, what about Good to Great by Jim Collins? Again, we get another half of the room, so now we're at 75%. Then I go, how many of you have read Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell? Now we're almost at 90%. Then if I throw on John Maxwell's 21 Laws of Leadership, we almost have 100% hands in the room are up, as that's what they use as a resource when it comes to leadership. Those 4 books and corresponding authors are still fantastic resources, and I've been fortunate to meet most of those people I mentioned in the green room. But what my mind started circling on was that all of those books that I just mentioned were all written before YouTube existed. So that's why I took 4 years to research, what does leadership look like in a digital age? What's different and what is the same? Now when it comes to digital leadership, the good news for most of you out there, whether you're a technophile or whether you're a newbie to technology, is that those books I mentioned, traditional leadership, still about 80% the same. And so when I wrote the book and did the research around digital leader, we took the best and the best of all of those other books on leadership. And then we layered in the research that we found on what was different. For example, in a world with total distraction when it comes to Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you can't multitask. A lot of us think we have to multitask, but you actually can't multitask. You can watch another video where I go in depth on the research behind why we can't multitask and why you get more done doing one thing at a time. But as a leader, that's really helpful information that's not in the traditional leadership books, because again, those books were all written before YouTube existed. So when it comes to digital leadership, at its core, what it really means is that even though we live in the Jetsons era, as Gary Vaynerchuk will talk about, even though we live in the Jetsons era, and we certainly do when you think about it, you can take a phone call, a video phone call on your watch. It's really those that excel are those that act like the Flintstones in the Jetsons in this digital era. And so that at the net is what digital leadership is all about. And that's why I've spent a lot of my career really focusing on that. And that's why it's such a popular talk track right now, is because all of us are wrestling with that offline-online combination. One of my favorite stories that we have in my book, Digital Leader, is all around the CEO and founder of Starbucks Coffee, Howard Schultz, who's a proud alum of Northern Michigan, which, as you know, I played basketball at Michigan State, and guess who went there? My former coach went to Northern Michigan around the same time as Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks. But the thing I love about Howard is Howard was the founder of Starbucks and the CEO. They do phenomenally well. And then he goes on to become chairman. But then the Great Recession hits in the year 2009. And Howard realizes, I need to come back and run the company on a day-to-day level as the CEO. And that's where the story starts. So Howard Schultz comes back to be the CEO of Starbucks, and he has phenomenal success rising it back up to where it is today before he retired again. But as we look at it, in those first couple weeks, Howard had an epiphany. He sent out an email to his executive team, just his core team, a private email. And then someone took that email and posted it publicly for the world to see. And Howard was quite distraught, sitting at his desk, and his head of public relations comes in and asks, Howard, why are you so mad? He goes, I can't believe someone would do this, that they'd post it out there. And she looked at him and said, Howard, the world has changed. There is no privacy. And Howard reflected on that, and he thought to himself, well, the world's not going to change back around me and my leadership style, so I need to change how I lead. And that's when Howard started the path of transforming himself from traditional leader into becoming a digital leader. And so as Howard made that transformation from a traditional leader into a digital leader, started doing things like asking customers via online forums, what would they change, what would they do, what do they like? More importantly, started testing out stuff at the time like taking mobile payments. And so there's a lot of pain points when you think about that. Right now they're going through pain points in terms of the line's actually slower because people don't have their phones ready to pay for it, or people are ordering online and they show up and they get their stuff right away, whereas someone that didn't order online has to wait 10 extra minutes because now all these online orders are there and they get priority. And so it's not an easy path to take, but it's one Howard knew he had to. And so he went down that path of transforming himself from traditional leadership into becoming a digital leader. And by doing so, he transformed Starbucks from being a coffee company into now they are a digital company that just happens to sell coffee. And if you look at their stock price during that rise of his transformation from when he came back in 2009 until his retirement, you can see that reflected in the stock price going up and up. And so that is the power and the benefit of digital leadership. That's all we have for today's Finding Equalman show. I hope that you're taking your first steps to becoming a digital leader, or if you're already practicing it, I hope you're taking those progressive steps to go even deeper. And most importantly, I hope that the show is helping you unlock and unleash your inner superpower, because we're all superheroes out there. And last but not least, I remind everyone, it's not what we take from the world, it's most surely what we leave behind. We did that though, and then we just... That's all for today's show on Finding Equalman. I hope you are on your path to becoming a digital leader, and most importantly, I hope that you're unlocking and Hey, it's #1 best-selling author and motivational speaker Erik Qualman, or most of you know me as Equalman. And on today's show, we're going to talk about... Wait, I forgot. Phenomenal books, and they're phenomenal people. I've been fortunate to share the green run with most of those. Should I do that again?
Yeah. Are you ready?
One of my favorite stories in our book, Digital Leadership, and then I asked, what about 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey? Oh, I just did that one. I gotta redo that one.